Hello and welcome. In this series of videos I'm going to look at the old Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway line from Melton Constable to Cromer Beach, but only as far as West Runton Junction, as I've looked at Cromer Beach in a previous video. Melton Constable, the crew of North Norfolk. Why is it here? Well, George Manners Astley, also known as Lord Hastings, was a director of the Lynn and Fakenham Railway, and he made the land to the north-east of his estate available for the station. Between 1879 and 1882, Melton Constable was reached by the Lynn and Fakenham Railway with a line from King's Lynn, the intended target being Norwich, which it eventually reached in December 1882 via Whitwell and Reepham. In 1883, the line from Yarmouth and North Walsham, again in one of my other videos, joined the Norwich line at Melton East Junction. Then in 1884, the line from Melton Constable to a temporary terminus at Holt was opened, joining the King's Lynn line at Melton West Junction. The Lynn and Fakenham Railway had now become part of the Eastern and Midland Railway, later to become part of the M GNJ Joint Railway in 1893. Thus was established a busy station which required both east and west signal boxes. The station itself consisted of one Long Island platform, 600 feet or 182 metres long. There was also a short private platform for Lord Hastings on the upside. Over the years, the whole area was occupied by loco and carriage works, sidings, a coaling plant, cattle pens, goods shed. There was even a 2-foot or 60-centimetre tramway for moving large articles around. There was also a 47-foot or 14-metre turntable, later replaced by a 53-foot or 16-metre one. For locomotives, there was a 3-road engine shed. After 1950, it was numbered 32G. Add to all this a concrete casting works and a large water tower, and the size and complexity of the site can be appreciated. Now, as you can see from this modern aerial shot, the area is now replaced by this industrial estate, but it does use some of the old facilities of the old station, such as the goods shed, engine shed, main works, and even the water tank. A close look at the general area of Melton Constable is on my previous video of the line from North Walsham, but I've been back recently on a Sunday when it was quieter to have a look at just the station area. So before we look at the rest of the line, let's go out and see what we can find. As we enter now the appropriately named Marriott Way, the first thing we see is the old goods shed. You can quite clearly see there the doorways and the raised platform. This is now a bakery and kitchen, and I think a cafe as well, because last time I was here there were people sitting outside. And then as we go round the corner from there, we come to what we see first is the back of the fitting shop with the bricked up arch windows, and the buildings next to it as well. They're all the old workshops, etc. And then as I swing round, that's, just see it in a minute, the old 3-road engine shed. You can see the 3 doorways there quite clearly. And on the right of that, where that wood is stacked, that is the old or the location of the turntable, the engine turntable. And now we're just seeing some more views of all the old works buildings, usually with pitched roofs, apart from the engine shed, and brick built, arch windows, a lot of them bricked up, and a weather vane on the top still there. And then this is the other side of all the works. And then in the distance, we'll have a closer look at that from the road. There's the water tank with the 3 pitched roofs on top. But we'll go round onto the roadway soon, have a closer look. And this is where the Yarmouth end of the platform was, and we're looking towards the station. Hard to believe now. And in this next view, we're standing at the position of the East Junction, looking towards Yarmouth. And here's a picture of a Yarmouth to Peterborough train easing into the platform past the East signal box, having traversed the East Junction. So now I've come to the back of the edge of the site in Hindleston Road, not sure. And there's another view of the water tank, huge thing, but it did feed the village as well as the railway works. And as I walk along the road, there's the back of the fitting shop through the foliage there. I'm walking down the road now. And on the main roads, there's this beacon supported by what I think is an old Marriott hollow concrete signal post that's obviously been utilised for something else. Now at the corner of the site is this arch and piers and a notice board or information board. And apparently this arch stood on pillars over some steps leading down from the road into the railway works. And the main works is behind the hedge that is partly covering this information board. And you can see we are at the very corner of the site before the line leads or splits to go to Holt and to King's Lynn. Now before I go any further, here is an old picture of the West Junction where the lines to King's Lynn and Cromer diverged. And here's another picture taken from Hindleston Road, which actually went over the railway at that time. It's now all been altered and it's all on the same level. The train on the left is on the coming in off the King's Lynn line, and the one on the right is on the Cromer line. And the one in the foreground is just leaving Melton in the King's Lynn direction. And that's the west signal box in between the two lines. Now as I swing round, we'll be looking in that direction of the junction, the West Junction. As I said, bear in mind that this is all completely different now. But King's Lynn is to the right and the Cromer line went off across the road there, roughly that direction. And we'll go across the road now and have a look. And now we're on the other side of the road looking over the hedge, and that's roughly the direction that the Cromer line took. But as you can see, absolutely nothing to indicate there was a railway here at any time. And we'll go off in that direction now to our next location. So you can see from this aerial shot a line of trees which indicates the old track bed, or what's left of it, of the line to Cromer as it leaves Melton Constable. And the first place we come to is Brinningham, where there was a level crossing and a gatehouse and signal box. And in this next picture you'll see the old signal box. This controlled the end of the double line and the beginning of the single line to Holt. 13 lever box. The platform you see near the bottom of the stairs is for the signalman to stand and when they exchange the single line token. Unfortunately, housing now occupies this whole area. Next, the line crossed the B1110 by another level crossing, and adjacent to that was gatehouse number 52, which fortunately is still surviving. And here's a picture of it now, or a Google shot of it, as there was nowhere to park. Likewise here, where the line again crossed the B1110, but this time by an underbridge, number 292, a royal joist type bridge. Again, like other places, all evidence of the railway has disappeared. Now on this aerial shot, this first arrow shows where we've just been, and this second one shows where the line crossed over Stoddy Road. And fortunately, there is more evidence of it, which I shall go and have a look at now. So this is Stoddy Road, and here there was a semicircular masonry underbridge, number 293, of which the abutments are still in existence, fortunately. Fairly similar to other M and GN joint railway structures. Some courses of blue bricks with another type of brick, corbelled out pads for the arches or whatever was above. And now we're looking towards Holt, and you can just make out that line of trees which indicates where the track bed was. And we shall move on to our next location. Now the next bridge near Hunworth is virtually complete. That's looking back towards Melton Constable, and obviously that's towards Holt, but unfortunately there's too many trees. But this is a semicircular masonry, similar to the one we've just looked at, although, as I say, obviously this one is complete, albeit very overgrown. But that's a fine example. Lovely brickwork again, although there's evidence there of, I don't know, some different brickwork for some reason. But we come to the other side. Fine wing walls there. And as we look back towards Melton, if I zoom in, you can just make out the embankment of the old railway. So now let's move on further. Now this aerial shot shows the line crossing for the third time the B1110 where that arrow is, and then it describes an arc all the way round to where the road takes over the old alignment. Now we can pick up the old track bed where that first arrow is and walk round to where the road then takes over. So let's go and have a look. So here we are at the end of the path. The old track bed is in that foliage on the left there, and we'll just walk down a little way, and there we're looking back to where we've just been. Again, all the bushes and that show where the old track bed was. And then as we walk down, we can actually go onto the old track bed. Now that's looking back into all those trees and bushes, and then as I swing round we can see clearly the path, and we'll carry on towards Holt now. Now here we're gone a bit further along, and the embankment starts here, and quite a high embankment as well, as you can see. That's quite a way down there. It probably doesn't show it as clearly, but it was quite high up. And then we'll move on a little bit further, and now end of the embankment, and now we start into a cutting. And this embankment to then cutting just indicates the amount of earthworks that were involved in this line. Most people think Norfolk's flat, but it certainly isn't. They must have had to move a lot of dirt to create this cutting. Quite steep sides, and we've just come from a very high embankment as well, so maybe the earth from this cutting went into making up that embankment. A bit further along now, and the cutting's starting to get smaller. Now we're approaching the end of the path. Right in front of us the road curves round, and that would then have been the old railway line, and there's the road there, and we'll go up on there in a minute and see. And the track bed feeds in from the left, and the road now is on the old alignment, just round that corner. Now moving along the old alignment, we will come to the area where the old station occupied. Now some work on the Holt line was started in 1881, but apart from the track being laid, it had not been ballasted, and some of the banks were unfinished. By 1884 the work was finally finished, and a temporary sleeper platform terminus station was built here, and the line was passed for traffic. In 1886, a new Eastern and Midland designed station similar to Sheringham was built, and the line through to Cromer was finally opened the following year. The new station was in red brick with gilt dressings. There was also a goods shed, tariff shed, and a tall signal box controlling some sidings and a head shunt. Unfortunately, a fire in 1926 gutted the station, and a new station was hurriedly built in concrete block. And this is what it looks like now, looking roughly from the same position of our photograph that we've just been looking at. Hard to imagine. And the road layout has changed. It used to go right across and join up the other side. Yes, this road we look at now used to go right across via a level crossing, but now it's just a pedestrian subway underneath the bypass. Now the line finally closed in December 1964, and this was taken in 1973, and obviously looking towards Melton and very overgrown now. And now we'll follow the old alignment of the railway, which is now, as I say, a road. Before we do that, while walking back to the car, I noticed these concrete fence posts along Carriage Road, which runs parallel with the bypass. I don't know if that's evidence of the old railway. So starting at the old station site, we follow the alignment of the old line on this road. Just after the station there was a connection on the right hand side to Holt gravel pits, which were worked from around 1899 until 1959. And we'll keep along this old alignment. And now continue along with curving round slightly, and very shortly I can see the point at which it starts. Right, from around here the road leaves the old alignment because the old track bed curved round to the left, and now we shall go and see where it went to. So this is the route of the old line, curving round from where we've just left in the distance there. Now this bit of land has been secured by the Norfolk Orbital Railway, and they are going to hopefully one day extend the line from Holt North Norfolk Railway Station along this bit of land and along by the side of the bypass for about a mile to the other side of Norwich Road, and virtually where the old track bed ends that we have already seen. And this map shows you what the aim of the Norfolk Orbital Railway is: to use existing Greater Anglia lines and some heritage railways, i.e. between Sheringham and Holt and between Wymondham and Dereham County School. And it will also mean reinstating the old railway from Holt to Melton Constable and on to Fakenham, and also Fakenham down to County School. An interesting project, but obviously not for a long, long time. And then if I swing round, the line carried on and made its way to Weybourne in that direction. And just ahead is the new Holt station on the North Norfolk Railway, which takes us over the line as far as Sheringham. And we shall look at that in part 2. So thanks for watching.